1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Good morning, guys.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, look at all these rhinos dropping like flies. Thank God we're getting rid of them. They're self-deporting. I'm so happy that, Drudge headline, Republican Party is hemorrhaging congresswomen, men, or I almost said congresswomen. So far, a bunch of male rhinos, beta male rhinos, have been retiring and are not seeking re-election in 2020 because they can't handle serving under Trump because Trump is tough to work for and work under. Isn't that nice? I'll talk to you guys about that, but I want to talk about, were you able to show the Blackface pics? I want to talk just a little bit about the so-called Blackface pics of Justin Trudeau, who is Prime Minister, liberal, male feminist, along with his wife, raising their daughters to be feminists too, of, what is it called? Canada. And you see him in I guess it's a yearbook photo from high school, maybe, singing, the Banana Song or something like that? Is that what it's called? O Deo, from that far left liberal rotten person who hates America, Harry Belafonte. He's really come out of the woodwork under the Obama administration. He was nasty. He's like, the Koch brothers are terrible people, something like that. Banana Boat song, yeah. Anyways, so I want to talk just a little bit about this blackface thing because this is Thursday, September 19th, 2019. Just last night, this blackface so-called revelation came out from 2001, 18 years ago, and also the 90s, and also some other time and place that we don't know, according to Global News, a video of him, this Justin Trudeau guy, who's a liberal, kind of like the Canadian answer to Obama, I guess. He kind of gets along with Trump. So I started to like him a little bit better. I started to like the Canadian Prime Minister, Emmanuel Macron. He's the 30-something, 38, 39-year-old, 40-something-year-old who's with a 60-something-year-old woman. And he's liberal, globalist, whatever. Terrible person, but he and Trump get along, so I started to like him better. And I started to like, speaking of liberals and rhinos, I think Mitch McConnell a little bit better because he works with Trump. And Lindsey Graham working with Trump. Those guys are rhinos, but Trump, he makes them function like men should. So that's cool. Whereas he couldn't get John McCain to function. John McCain just broke down and died under Trump because he couldn't hang. He was on a long decline anyway. Nobody liked him. Nobody real liked him. All the fake people liked him. The media, they called him a maverick and a straight arrow. Only when he sided with the liberals. And they did the same thing with Robert Mueller and James Comey when they thought that they were, I think those guys are supposed to be Republicans or something, somehow. But they're rhinos, they hate Trump, and so they like them. But anyways, this whole Justin, is that you? Just revealed Trudeau wore brown face, they call it, in 2001 Arabian Nights party. Because he was, I guess brown is not just Mexican and Hispanic and Latino, but it's also Arabians, Arabs. And so that's him. It looks really ridiculous, but it's almost believable. You almost think that might be a real Arab person. Because they have like those, I don't know, they have like an European-looking face, but it's really dark. So anyways, it's actually pretty good. It's funny, kind of, whatever. Nobody actually cares. I'm not convinced that anybody actually cares. And he was shown in multiple times, right? And they point out that Virginia Governor, this is Associated Press pointing out that Virginia Governor Ralph Northam, Democrat, but AP doesn't point out that he's a Democrat. Interesting. Faced intense pressure to resign. He didn't. His worst thing was talking about infanticide, delivering the baby after a botched abortion and then having a conversation with the mother and family to see what they want to do with the baby. Kill it or what? But that's worse, right? But that's not worse in the minds of the outraged people. And so back in 1984, he had a medical school yearbook photo of himself in blackface. He denied that it was him, but he said that he dressed up like Michael Jackson and he and his friends. Since then, Virginia Attorney General Mark Herring, another Democrat, acknowledged wearing blackface in college, so-called blackface. And that term blackface, like nobody knows that term except for being taught by the liberals, the academics, the intellectuals. And Alabama Governor Kay Ivey, this is the only Republican, publicly apologized for donning blackface during a college skit more than 50 years ago. What an idiot woman. Must be a RINO. Alabama governor. Female governor. What's up, Alabama? What's wrong with you people? Just because she's a Republican, voting in a woman who apologizes for 50 years ago dressing up as black? Shameful. And so does anybody have like a logical argument against it? Any non-emotional argument? I don't think so, because there is none. They talk about the clowns, I forget what they're called, from back in the day. The white people that dressed up as blacks, way back during Jim Crow and all that stuff. They said that they, being the liberal historians, said that it was racist because whites would dress up like black people and make fun of them and mock and laugh. And somehow that's racist or something. Races laughing at each other and themselves. Because I'm sure some blacks enjoyed it. I was listening. I have a guest coming up this Sunday. A black female lesbian comedian, I think. Coming in studio, I believe. So, and she made fun of white people. Talking about, I think white people are aliens. We have to teach them that human lives matter. And it made me laugh. It's not true, but it made me laugh. And it's just races laughing at each other and themselves. Who cares? A liberal, I did it once. I dressed up as black one time. People thought I was Ali G. People thought I looked like Ali G, but Ali G, whatever that, Sacha Baron Cohen. That guy that dressed up as a rapper back in the day, and he would try to, troll people in interviews. He interviewed Trump one time, talked about gloves for eating ice cream. But I wasn't aware of him. But anyways, I was wearing black India ink, Chinese ink, this black stuff on my face, hands, and then I think I might have worn gloves, so I put it on my arms. And then I wore long black socks and then these big baggy yellow shorts, big it was a basketball tank top or something, big yellow jacket or something like that. It might have been FUBU shorts. Might not have been yellow or might have been white. Who knows? Yeah, it was for Halloween. I was black. Because there would be Halloween parties. And right after college, some of my friends would hold these Halloween parties. And so I would show up dressed as various things. First, I scouted the place in my regular clothes. Oh, James, you're in your regular clothes. And then I went into my car and changed and put that stuff on. So, and then I wore these shiny glasses. I wish that I had the photo still. I put it up on MySpace back when we had MySpace. And it was funny. But MySpace has since gone defunct and changed hands or something. They turned into some music place music website that nobody goes to. And so I think that the photo is lost. If anybody can find it, that's excellent, because it's funny. And then, I've been a cholo a couple times, Mexican cholo. And I thought about trying to be Chinese, but I don't think I ever tried that. I was a Mexican soccer player one time, all kinds of things. But that was back in, early to mid 20s, I would say. And a liberal college professor that I knew, like he was amongst our group of friends, he said, "James, you're wearing blackface." And I was vaguely familiar with the term. I had heard, "Oh yeah, that's a term, huh?" And he pointed out that I was a substitute teacher at the time. He might have laughed about it, or he might not have. I don't remember. But he wasn't like offended, but he's like pointing it out because he's like a educated, liberal, intellectual college professor type guy, and so he knows that was taboo. And you look at Salon and all these far left groups; they've been pushing this propaganda for years, probably decades. Yeah, there was no real outcry about the Mexican stuff, being a cholo and soccer player and stuff. I even wore cleats, and I went to a concert like that with a buddy. And then, yeah, it was funny. So anyways, I don't believe, somebody said online, I saw it yesterday or so, that there's no such thing as being offended. I'm talking about like on behalf of like a third party that you see in the news, that's a hoax. That there's no actual such thing as that. It's just meant to drum up people, get them riled, and make them feel sorry for other people when they don't really, and all that stuff. And no, I cannot do a Mexican accent. Sometimes I kind of talk like a beaner. And I have no Chinese accent either. Jesse does it better. Ooh. Anyways, yeah, I don't believe that. I don't believe that that people are actually offended. I think that it's just fake. People say that immigrants are hurting the country, and it's true. But so are the natives. The native-born whites and blacks and Hispanics, because there's a lot of native-born Hispanic Americans, referring to the ones that not just anchor babies, ones that have been here for generations. They're messing it up. People are getting lazy, spoiled, brainwashed especially, corrupt, very corrupt, weak, on drugs and alcohol and porn and complaining, all that stuff. And it's kind of like what I've been told about the Roman Empire, where people lost what it meant to be Roman. People are losing what it means to be American. And when I heard that, I pictured there's this meme, this anti-white meme, anti-American meme that has been going around for years now. One of them is from this far left illegal alien with a Hispanic last name, but he's Filipino because Filipinos are basically they're like the Mexicans of the Asians. The Spanish people went over to the Philippines and changed a bunch of their last names to Hispanic last names. So that's why they have last names like Martinez and stuff like that. And so these people, this one guy in particular, he's a homosexual activist too. Can't remember his name. I don't really care. But he has this thing called Define American. I've told about it before. And basically, he's an illegal and trying to undermine the meaning of what American is. And that's why you hear some of the white nationalists pushing, and the white ethno-state types pushing the notion that American is really British, or, people that were here since before, especially before 1965 when they did the Immigration Act. And that's when they started bringing in all the Koreans. The Koreans took over, created Koreatown. A bunch of Hispanics started pouring in, because prior to that it was, way back, it was, the immigration policy was white, Christian, European men of good character. Something like that. And they had to be of good character. And nowadays, we don't even look at character when we let these people in. We just look at money. If they have skills, we let them in. If they don't have skills, we let them in. And if they have criminal records, we still let them in. It's a mess. And if we don't know who they are, we let them in. It's real bad. Trump has been fighting that. People claim that he hasn't, but he has been. But the people themselves, you'll see these memes. This guy says, define American, and it'll show like all these different colored people and races of people. Asians, dark black African people, Muslims, anybody but white, basically. And then they say, oh, I'm American. And this is what America looks like. And you'll see Rashida Tlaib, the Pakistani or whatever she was. Oh, no, I think she's Palestinian from Michigan. She says, oh, I am what America looks like now. And that's basically an attack, an underhanded attack on whites. It is. They pretend that it's not, or they pretend, oh, America's just becoming more diverse now. Nope, it's an attack on whites. They hate whites. They accuse them of racism all the time. And it's basically undermining what it means to be American. And they hate America, too. They hate American values. They hate the Second Amendment. They hate the First Amendment. They hate white people. They hate Christians. And they hate freedom. They promote socialism. Socialism is anti-American. And they promote globalism, which is anti-American. All the UN and all those people, they just like to exploit America. America for its dumbness, weakness, so-called generosity, all that stuff. It's really pathetic. And us, like normal people, whites and everybody else who's like American growing up, we grow up amongst all these POCs and brainwashed by the teachers and social media and everybody else. The politicians that are fake, all these RINOs that are quitting, they're kissing up to the race thing and the woman thing and all that. It's because people have just lost themselves. And so it's just kind of interesting. And meanwhile, people are more mad about the blackface than abortion. So dumb. And it's so ridiculous hearing the conservatives pretend to go along with this too, including Kay Ivey and that guy, Justin, what was his name? Scheer? Oh no, Andrew Scheer up in Canada, all mad, pretending to say that, oh yeah, Justin Trudeau's racist. No, you can make fun of him and get rid of him. But, and he did bring it on himself. I'm not defending any of these people that did it because they won't defend themselves. If anybody defends himself for it, I'm with that guy. So, anyways, let me get to some calls and then I'll get to more about these RINOs that are quitting. Quitters, lame. That's what I call draining the swamp. It's not these lobbyists that Trump is appointing, because lobbyists kind of just represent the people. They're just lobbying the government. What, you don't want the people to try to hold the politicians accountable in some way or another? That's all the lobbyists are trying to do. Yeah, they do have so-called special interests, but you'll notice who's pushing the notion that the lobbyists are the problem. It's the Elizabeth Warrens. It's the Bernie Sanderses. Yeah, I bet you many lobbyists are corrupt. The gays, and various others are corrupt. Maybe the drug pushers. You know, the ones that are pushing the opioids and stuff. The pharmaceutical companies and the insurance companies, the lawyers. Lawyers are nasty people. We should get rid of all lawyers. Say no lawyers are allowed to run for office. Wouldn't that be nice? But there's a few good lawyers too, so you can't really do that. It's right versus wrong, and then it's RINOs. We got to get rid of the RINOs. So that's cool. I'm glad that we're having like a purge within the Republican Party. They're self-purging. So I'm so happy about that. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what they're like. But anyways, let me get to Jake out of New York, first-time caller. Jake, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm just listening to you right now.
Yeah.
And I want to have my answer to my question I asked you earlier. How do you define an American?
How do I define American?
Yeah. Wait a minute, but let me ask you a question also to that.
All right.
Okay. I'm a vet, right?
Okay.
Okay, I'm a vet, and I'm an alpha male.
All right.
Okay?
We see.
Okay. I do believe in everything you believe in. I believe in the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
But I believe also if you're going to spout the Second Amendment, you need to spout it completely. Not just about the guns, but about well-run militia.
Uh-huh.
That has to be controlled under the president.
Controlled under the president? Where do you get that?
Oh, that's because that's a complete Second Amendment.
No, that's not. It never mentions the president.
Oh, well, yes.
You added
yes,
that
it
in
does.
there. You're like
yes, it
those
does.
Bible people, those Bible thumpers that added in there.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Actually, that was industrialized into the
It never says it never mentions the president, the Second Amendment.
Oh, yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, yes, it does.
Joel,
why don't you guys want to read that part?
I bet you Google the Second Amendment. Never mentions the president.
Okay.
All right.
So why has it always got to be right versus
Are you
left?
black?
Why can't it be? Am I black?
Yeah.
Does it matter?
Yeah.
Oh, let me ask you a question.
Answer mine
Okay.
first.
Oh, okay. I'll answer your question.
All right.
I'm a vet. Yeah, I'm black. So what?
All right.
I'm more of an alpha than you will ever be.
All right.
Did you ever join any military branch?
Nah, my parents didn't let. I was a beta. I was a beta child.
You was a beta child.
Yeah.
Oh, so then we can figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what? Let me ask you a question. Do you know the kind of dedication it takes to be in the U.S. military?
Nope.
What? Do you know what
I
kind
doubt
of
it.
dedication? Oh, so you're one of those guys.
Yeah.
You're like Trump, who likes to talk a good game.
Yeah,
Okay.
because you like to talk about your past, like you served. Yeah. That's nice. And then
No,
you
no,
want
no.
special treatment, like, oh,
don't
I'm
want
above
special
reproach. I'm an alpha male because I
deserve
served in the
special
military, and who
Oh,
knows what
now-
you actually did there. And you know who else serves in the military is gang members, so that they can get trained and then they can come back and kill civilians and kill each other.
Oh, so now
Gang
we're
members
all
join the
killers.
military too, so who cares? And then
Oh,
there's
so
a bunch
now we're
of
all
liberals,
killers.
and you know who
John
else is a
McCain
vet? You
is
know
a
who
war
else is a
hero.
vet? Pete Buttigieg. You think
So
Pete
what?
Buttigieg is an alpha male?
So what?
Let me ask you, is Pete Buttigieg an alpha male?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
disgusting.
he's more of an alpha male than you'll ever be.
Oh, okay,
And
all right.
So what? He's gay.
He's black.
So what? I got
So what?
four-
He's gay.
Oh, because he can pull a trigger.
Anybody could
He
pull a
doesn't have
trigger.
to be a punk that likes to shoot people that can't fire back.
All right, man.
No. You guys are all the same. You talk a good game about minorities and all this other crap, but when it comes to serving your country,
So what is a real American?
a real American?
Because
is a guy who
all these
puts his
people
life
that
on
join the
line.
military to so-called serve their country, some
Yeah.
of them really do care. Maybe
Yeah,
even
they
some
do.
liberals. And then the rest of
Liberals?
them they're getting
I was-
money. They're doing it because there's no other choice or whatever. And yeah, it's a good choice. I recommend the choice. Probably better than joining college. Did you go to college?
Yeah, I did too. And I sent my-
That's probably what
and I
messed
sent
you
my-
up.
Oh, and I went to serve, and I sent my daughter to college too.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
man.
why I'm also
Poor girl.
married to my child's mother. I have
Yeah.
three children.
So so is
And
my
I'm an
dad, and so is a lot of
individual,
people.
and I'm a
doesn't
thinker.
make them not betas.
Oh God, I'm an alpha. I put
All
myself
right.
through
You
training
keep saying
that
that.
you never do.
You keep telling yourself
You
that.
guys laugh at me, but it's funny.
I'm
You're
not
all
laughing
the same-
at you.
you're
I'm laughing
at
with
the same
you.
stick. Oh my God! At least you're not Jesse Lee Peterson or Diamond and Silk. All those who run the same shtick.
Whoa, watch that. All right,
really?
Jake, I think I've got to go. But
Oh,
I'll answer
yeah.
your question
You
about
gotta
what's
go.
American.
Yeah.
Take care. So, what is a real American? I would say not that. Because those guys, you'll notice that a lot of vets brag about that, and they tend to be liberal. They throw it in your face when they're liberals. Okay, so I got this from Joel. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, free, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. See? Never mentions the president. There you have it. Well-regulated kind of means well-disciplined, maybe? Self-disciplined. And you'll notice the militia types, although some of them can be slightly nutty, some of them are very solid. Most of them, I would say, are very solid. Even the slightly nutty ones are quite solid. And I say nutty because, I don't know, maybe they have like a conspiracy mind or something like that. But they are solid people. The ones that showed up at Charlottesville, for example. You won't find one instance of any militia member who showed up at the Charlottesville riots trying to keep the peace between both sides. They didn't take a side. They were not on the side of the alt-right. They were just showing up to keep order. And it was a good thing that they were there, honestly, because the police were standing down under the direction, seemingly, that's my conspiracy theory of the mayor, the liberals who run the place. The Charlottesville riots where the Antifa was attacking the alt-right. One alt-right guy retaliated or got scared and drove off and ran into a crowd, whatever happened. He pleaded guilty to a hate crime, which is stupid. He shouldn't have. And it's stupid that they even accused him of a hate crime. But anyways, the militia are quite well regulated. And you'll go to any firing range, basically. Very disciplined, regulated, professional. And all those guys that are gun owners that do the practice stuff all the time, those guys are serious about safety and handling their weapons and safety with everybody else handling, including beginners and all that stuff. Dude, they take it so seriously. It's like, it's kind of like the military. And they're not under the president. Yeah, most of them respect whatever president is there or the office because they didn't like Obama that much. But yeah, so that guy made up that part. Anyways, let me get to Kevin. He's been waiting a while out of Connecticut. Kevin, how are you doing?
How are you, sir?
Doing fine, thank you.
I'm doing all right. Yeah, I had a question. I understand that you guys keep on, saying that you guys are being relocated out of your building.
Yeah.
Well, I was wondering, are you guys the one moving yourselves, or are you guys hiring a moving service?
We'll cross that bridge when we get there, man. If you want, you should contact the office for that. All right.
Well,
thanks,
I have
Kevin.
another question.
I can only take one, man. We got so many callers, but thanks, man. Appreciate that. If you want to help, contact the bond. All right. So, let me quickly get to these rhinos, and then I'll get to you guys. All right, hold on, guys. Rhino congressman retiring. They can't handle Trump. Draining the swamp. Drudge reports swamp. Trump outpaces Obama and Bush in naming ex-lobbyists to the cabinet. And that's just showing what Market Watch has this little hit piece, very tiny little article. And it's a very opinionated article about how, this came out a few days ago, about how Trump has named so many ex-lobbyists to his cabinet. And that's supposed to be a problem. And like I said, Bernie is naming lobbyists as a problem. Bernie Sanders, the socialist, he's a swamp. He's been in office for, decades? And he's nasty, socialist guy. And Elizabeth Warren, that's her version of the problem. She named lobbyists. She wants to ban lobbyists from running for office or something. I don't know. Something weird. Her so-called fake fight for corruption, against corruption. She claims that Trump is corrupt and pushing for himself only and his cronies or whatever. She's pretending like Trump has been in office forever. She's the one who's been in office since 2013 or so. Or 2014, 2015, something like that. They're fake. Those lobbyists are not the problem. Many are maybe, but I would call it a red herring. It's a fake notion. Here are some swamp people leaving. Drudge reports, Republicans hemorrhaging congressman. Another one retires. And then so Daily Caller reports, Republican Representative Paul Cook, and I have a picture of him, announces he's retiring from Congress. I don't know much about this guy, but he was out of San Bernardino, California, wants to run for the Board of Supervisors, career politician, basically, right? And he served as mayor of Yucca Valley, whatever. He served as infantry officer in the Marines. Doesn't mean much. You know, like George W. Bush was a pilot, right? Something like that. I think Bush the senior, the daddy. But both of those did not vote for Trump. Maybe even voted against Trump. Cook is the 18th House Republican representative to announce they will not seek re-election in 2020. House Committee on Armed Services and House Committee on Natural Resources. Trump had backed this guy, by the way, running against Tea Party guy Tim Donnelly, who was running against him. And Tim Donnelly seems like a decent guy. I don't know. Here are some other RINO quitters. And I don't know all these guys are RINOs, but I'm just going to go ahead and assume they are. They're no good to me. They're quitting. Texas Representative Bill Flores, who had reportedly criticized the Trump family, according to Salon.com, far left website, said last Wednesday, I guess, he will not seek re-election next year for his 6th term in Congress, making him the 5th Texas Republican to announce retirement from this election cycle. Republican Texas Representative Kenny Marchant voted to increase the minimum wage way back in 2008, by the way, and that would have been under George W. Bush. A bad idea. Announced late August he will not seek re-election, making him the 4th federal Republican congressman from the state of Texas to retire in the last few weeks. Look at him. I don't think much of him. Marchant's retirement came as 3 other Texas Republican representatives, including Will Hurd, and he's supposed to be black. Mike Conaway, who'd reportedly said serving under Trump is embarrassing. So show this Will Hurd, I'm going to get back to him. But this Mike Conaway guy, did I give you one, Joel? Okay, I don't have a picture of Mike Conaway, but he said serving under Trump is embarrassing. Google a picture of him, just grab a picture. I'll go back to him and show you I'll show you the face of the person who said that serving under Trump is embarrassing. And then Pete Olson, who disavowed Trump's tweet about the squad back in July, also recently announced he will not be seeking re-election. Those 3. This is Pete Olson. Let me show you his tweet about Trump, and then I'll remind you about Trump's series of tweets that were so excellent. So that's Pete Olson, right? Show his tweet. I'm going to read it off of the screen. The tweet that President Trump posted. This is Representative Pete Olson, RINO, who's quitting. The tweet President Trump posted over the weekend about fellow members of Congress, meaning the progressive Democrat congresswomen of color, are not reflective of the values of the 1 million plus people in Texas 22. That's what he supposedly represents. We are proud to be the most diverse congressional district in America. That's probably another reason why he's retiring. Diverse people don't elect white Republicans. I urge our president immediately to disavow his comments. So he tweeted that from Houston, Texas, back July 15th. Here is Trump's tweets that this man wants Trump to immediately disavow. Here's what Trump said. So interesting to see progressive, quote unquote, Democrat congresswomen who originally came from countries whose governments are a complete and total catastrophe, the worst, most corrupt and inept anywhere in the world, if they even have a functioning government at all, now loudly and viciously, go to the second one, so it's big, and viciously telling the people of the United States, the greatest and most powerful nation on earth, how our government is to be run. Why don't they go back and help to fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came? They can then come back and show us how it is done. These places need your help badly. You can't leave fast enough. I'm sure that Nancy Pelosi would be very happy to quickly work out free travel arrangements. So that's what Trump tweeted July 14th, 5:27 a.m. Nice. Well, 5:27 a.m. my time, probably 8:30 his time, 8:27. Anyways, those are such nice tweets. And if that doesn't represent what Pete Olson's district is about, which is the most diverse in Texas, something like that, then get out of here. I'd rather have a Democrat, a full-on Democrat, than a Republican in name only, RINO. So that's Pete Olson. Let me tell you about Will Hurd, the only black, so-called black, Republican in the House of Representatives. And I think that he might have darkened that picture. But anyways, he said that he will not seek re-election in late August, said that he plans to serve my country in a different way. That's what he says. Hurd, as I recall, is a black RINO and a Trump hater. Will Hurd had called Trump's tweets about the Democrat female congresswomen of color racist and xenophobic, and I think that he said it on CNN. So he is the enemy. Good riddance to bad rubbish. These people are self-deporting. I'm so glad. We got to get rid of them. And Trump is making it unpleasant to be a RINO in office. Thank you, Mr. Trump. Very nice. He's making people uncomfortable. So that's so cool. And I told you that the young whites are getting brainwashed. It's no wonder when all you have to look at are the rhinos like these. And they're so happy that they had a black congressman. RINO, get rid of the black Republican congressman. That's what we did. So, oh, Mike? Oh, yeah, show me Mike Conaway. This guy said serving under Trump is embarrassing, according to Independent. There's Mike Conaway. Look at him. Snake. RINO quitting. He said serving under Trump is embarrassing. And when did he say that? That was the 31st of July. So it was probably around the time that Trump was, they were all mad about Trump tweeting the truth about those female Democrat congressmen of color. And he said, serving in the era of Trump, this guy, Tom Davis, a former senior Republican congressman, said, serving in the era of Trump has few rewards. He has made an already hostile political environment worse. Every day there is some indefensible tweet or comment to defend or explain. It's exhausting and often embarrassing. So that's Tom Davis. Oh, so maybe I was wrong. Representative Mike Conaway will not seek re-election. He has not confirmed his decision or reason for retiring. So, okay, all right, I was wrong. Mike Conaway didn't say that. It was Tom Davis, another former Republican congressman. Sorry, guys. I'm so glad that I cleared that up. But, yeah, Tom Davis doesn't deserve a photo. No, let's Google him real fast. Google him so that we can correct the record. Mike Conaway, I'm sorry, but you're probably a RINO anyways, so good riddance to you too. I called you a snake. I don't necessarily take it back. But Tom Davis, you found it? Yeah, Tom Davis, former senior Republican congressman. But anyways, I'll get to some calls, and then you just show him and let me know. Roger, first-time caller out of Arizona. Roger, how are you?
Hey, good. How you doing?
Doing fine, thank you.
Hey, I had a quick question on you. Been trying to deal with Jesse, but I haven't done. I haven't got to the call.
I'll take it.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, you're kind of rough, but yeah, go for it.
What do you think about Christians that sometimes get too upset about this abortion issue? And the reason I'm asking is because I personally was kind of thinking over it, and
Okay.
Abortions is mostly liberals, and I'm I was actually thinking, the more
you
abortions
mean they're aborting liberal babies?
Yes,
Mostly liberal people abort. That doesn't make it right. That doesn't make it something that we should be for. We should still oppose it. I agree we shouldn't be upset about it. There are people that are upset about abortion, and a lot of times it's the pro-life women, because nowadays, people kind of surrendered the abortion fight to the women, which is a total beta male kiss-up RINO move. I think the men should be leading the fight against abortion, as they should be standing on what's right for all things, and they shouldn't be upset about it. I will tell you that abortion makes human beings turn worse. So these women who are killing their babies, they become very guilt-ridden. Both the Republicans, the ones who wake up and be turned into Republicans, they still are often guilt-ridden, and they shouldn't be. They should get past it. Once they realize it's wrong, drop it. They shouldn't. Women tend to have a lot of guilt in them, it seems like, in my experience watching them, and everybody else says it too. But a lot of these people, you look at the black community where the ghettos are, New York, for example, where they had more abortions in some years amongst the blacks than live births. 2012 it happened, and other years I think it's happened as well. By far, actually, by 56% abortions. I think these people turn nastier and worse and more heartless and cruel, so that the children that do survive, who don't get aborted, they get raised under heartless, soulless people like this. People that sear their conscience, and they're just nasty people, and they grow up to be killers and all kinds of crazy things. and it just is a corrupting influence in the culture.
know.
You don't want to just surrender let the liberals abort themselves, because it doesn't work like that. You can't just let the blacks kill themselves. No, we should bring the National Guard, stop the blacks from killing one another, and maybe deport the people that shouldn't be here. There's a lot of gang activity amongst illegals.
I also have a
stuff.
quick question on that. It's not going to be long, but
All right.
I'm a Hispanic person.
Okay.
So I was actually born in Mexico, came over here, you get legalized, and just follow the American dream.
Yeah.
And but one of the things that Jesse has been saying a lot of times is like the illegal immigration affects foremost the black community first.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't think it's 100% true on that, because most of the Hispanic that I've been in those communities, I was, pretty much raised in low income communities. We have Hispanics bring in more illegal immigration into that community. So the Hispanic Americans, like myself and my family, are being affected more than the black community. I know that the black community is kind of like, it's also affected because there's crime and we kind of separate each other and we don't like it. If I would tell you stories that it's going to take too long, when I was little, black little kids and me, they would try to fight with each other,
Right.
So we don't really get along, but the Hispanic American are the first ones to get more affected. It also happens like they get raped more, like the little girls by illegals.
Wow.
Hispanic. You don't hear almost illegal immigrants raping black little girls, So at least for me, that's a little bit worse. What's your take on that?
You make a good point, and I think that's not said or pointed out, and Jesse may not be aware of it, because you don't hear you hear some, but you don't hear a lot of Americans who are Hispanic complaining about the illegals. You do hear them complain, but you're the first person that's pointed this out that I've heard, like on the radio, and it's only logical what you're saying. It's true. It's a fact.
And now, I know they're being complicit, so it's kind of like they bring it on themselves, because
Right.
The relatives, they kind of, okay, so they bring them into those communities.
Yeah.
That's where we get hit more, with those communities. So I had to try to move out, and like, why are you trying to move north? Because I'm like, because you see how they're, illegal immigrants and Hispanic Americans, they don't see the community, but they basically want to turn it back into Mexico. They're running away from that.
Yeah.
But then they turn it into pretty much the same.
It's just like a human being that tries to move, who's just in a life crisis and he wants to change his environment, and then he ends up in hell wherever he ends up too, because he doesn't realize that the hell is inside of him. That's just on an individual basis. It's the same principle happening with the people that are, the illegals coming up and the legal immigrants and refugees coming up. That's an interesting point, man.
Yeah, and I don't know if you got the callers, you let me know, but I also think that the wall is actually good for the Mexican people, because if you stop it, it would actually force people to fix their own communities and cities and kind of stand up to the corruption on the government, because
totally.
What happens, I hear from people that I know, obviously that they come from Mexico, they flee their cities because, instead of standing up to the cartels and all this, the corrupt government,
they're just fleeing.
They run to the United States and say, let's just make it instead of standing up. And I think if the walls actually standing up, they'll be forced to actually take action. And Mexico will be better. And the reason it's going to be better because most of the people are coming here. Most of them, right? Not all of them, but most of them, I believe, they're the hardworking people. And it's like taking the best players out of their team.
Interesting.
And bringing them here. Also, obviously, they get mixed.
Yeah.
But,
that is such a good point, man. Yeah, that's why I've said that Trump actually loves like all people, especially America, but he loves even like the Mexicans and the people south. And that is because that tough love forces you to do what's right. When you have that wall, then you don't have people coming across, getting deserted, dying. in the desert or in the river. You don't have people even trying to cross, and it goes 6 feet down too, but maybe the tunnels can go further down, but we can deal with that. And it is like what you said, it's forcing the people to do the right thing. And because right now, the way we have it, it's just feeling sorry for and enabling the worst of the worst to happen. It's only enabling more corruption. It's just like what's happened to the black community. Man, that's such a great call, Roger. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, well, no problem. And like all this information that I'm trying to give you, it's not. I don't search it. I hear it from family members and people that I start questioning. You know, especially now that Trump is in office, and I tell them, like, why are we voting this? And how come you stand up for God, but then you're supporting all the evil stuff?
Yeah.
And then, I'm questioning it. And we know, because I got people that are here. They have a lot of relatives that are here illegally, and I can ask them. I have a couple, but I can pick the brains, and I can be like, well, because a lot of the illegal immigrants are coming this way. I don't think the news and everybody is showing it, but in order for the coyotes to bring him here, they have to wear carry a backpack full of drugs because
wow.
So it's like it's hard for them to get somebody to just smuggle you in by themselves. So they're turning them into criminals by having to wear that backpack, full of drugs, because that's how they make way more money. And it's back in the day, it used to be where you can just pay the coyote, and then he'll bring you in just by yourself. So you're technically you're just breaking the law of coming illegally, but now you're coming illegally with drugs. And that's something that they don't bring it up, but it is happening. And every person that I ask, it's like some people got busted, and then they give them a couple years or months in prison, and tell them, hey, if we catch you again because you had drugs. And although they say, well, that was the only way I could come over here. I couldn't find a coyote. You could just cross me without any drugs. So it's sad, and we need that wall.
Yeah. Thank you, Roger. Take care, man.
All right, you too, man.
All right. Man, that is, and it's true. I mean, I've known a bunch of illegals in my lifetime. High school friends, coworkers, all kinds of illegals. Parents of friends. And they have that corruption in them. It's about the hookup. They're willing to do stuff that's wrong, illegal. And then they get mad at you when you point it out. And they call you heartless. I mean, the legal ones sometimes will call you heartless, and it's so bad that you want them to go back. It's not like you're sending them into the ocean. You're just sending them back. So I think we have Tom Davis, right? Show me Tom Davis, who said that it's exhausting and often embarrassing. Oh, gosh. Him? So he's gone, thank God. Former senior Republican congressman. That's the snake. Not so much that guy Mike Conaway, but I'm glad that he's gone too. Purge the RINOs. All right? So let's get to Alex out of San Antonio, Texas. How are you doing, Alex?
Doing well. How are you, James?
Doing fine. Nice to hear from you, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Nice to talk to you. So I was listening earlier to you talking to that liberal veteran.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to commend you on standing up to him because I think we need to start telling veterans the truth.
Yeah.
And I was even doing this before I saw your guys' show because everybody would always talk about veterans, how, they're so good, they're so great.
Yeah.
They deserve everything. And I grew up in a military family, so I know that that's not really true. Most of these jobs are like office jobs. They get good pay. They get all their basic essentials covered without cost, like to them, and then they get awesome benefits after the military. They get a GI Bill, which is worth like tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And I think telling people that they deserve more than they're getting is making them weaker.
Yeah.
It's just like the blacks, how Jesse, he tells the blacks the truth even though they don't like to hear it. It's time we do that because too many veterans are like giving up. I know a lot of them are trying to I have some friends that are always trying to get bigger benefits, bigger disability checks.
Mm-hmm.
It like relegates them into this into this life of looking for handouts instead of going and making a life for themselves.
Yeah, that is such a good point. And there's all these illegals who are serving in the military too, who then they want to become citizens and they want this special treatment. And that's not something that we should promise. We shouldn't promise citizenship to non-citizens who serve in the military, so-called serve in the military, expecting that. And, you know, I noticed too that the liberals they always say, thank you for your service to the military people, which is, I think that's a bad habit. I mean, it's good to do that for somebody that you see as respectable, but it's a kiss-up thing. And you'll notice that they do that amongst people that are like remember when Trump was attacking the people who were trying to undermine what he said about the hurricane may hit Alabama in the NOAA, whatever, or NWS, National Weather Service. Well, I think AP or one of those liberal activist, so-called journalist organizations, they referred to these people that had tried to undermine Trump and attacked Trump, and they are politically motivated. They're not for professionalism. The so-called news organizations called them public servants. And that's like the same thing. It's basically just kissing up and making us, trying to make the people feel sympathetic toward, the underdog who's trying to speak truth to power. Like Trump is so corrupt or something like that. It's ridiculous, man.
Yeah, they won't call Trump a public servant, but
exactly.
they'll call themselves that.
Yep. And they're so self-important, the media is. It's so ridiculous. They're not for the free press. The free press is the people on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and everybody, all the independent voices that are getting silenced on those platforms, at least. That's the free press that's under attack. Not when Trump calls the press the enemy of the people, which they are, the enemy of the country. Those people tend to be socialists, globalists, anti-American, anti-white, believing the racism thing, anti-men. They're feminists. They're nasty people. So appreciate that, Alex.
It's like they're these stewards of democracy, too. Like, we're here to tell the truth to people, to reveal what's going on in the country, and he's persecuting us.
And they always call it a democracy, too. They want to save our democracy. And you see it in these liberal shows like Homeland and stuff. They're like, it's all melodramatic. I'm just trying to save our democracy. And it's not a democracy, thank God, but it's becoming one because people are voting away their rights and voting away the Constitution and voting away white people, really, and the men.
It sounds good when you say democracy, but I don't think
Not to me.
If people just stopped and thought about it longer, they'd realize that democracy almost always leads to the majority imposing on the minority.
Yeah, and the majority
taken away.
And the majority are becoming corrupt, unfortunately. Thank you, Alex.
Yep.
Take care, man.
Yep. Thank you, James. You too. Bye.
All right. Christopher, first-time caller out of Los Angeles. Thanks for calling, Christopher.
Hey, what's going on, Hake?
Not much.
All right, so I just had a quick question. This is not an emotional response, but just asking, what is the big punchline? What is so hilarious about a white person dressing up as a black person? What is so hilarious about that?
Part of it is because it's taboo. Because anything taboo, it becomes almost edgy to do. So that's part of it. When you look at the costumes, they're really funny. When I went to this party, it was mostly Mexicans, some Asians, maybe like one or two whites, few whites. And they're like, one guy is like, when I saw you across the room, I was like, who invited the N-word? And so it's just like this funny, you see, you're laughing. It's like a funny type of thing.
Yeah, but the point is that you say, well, it's taboo.
Yeah.
But when they were doing it, when it originated, when blackface originated in America, it wasn't taboo. It was totally permissible.
Yeah,
So
that was.
that still
What are
doesn't
those
answer
people
the
called?
question of what is hilarious about it, because you said it's taboo, but it's just recently become taboo.
Okay, so now you're asking what was hilarious about it back then.
Yeah, what is? Because it obviously it's the same core humor that is being used from then until now.
I don't know,
what is
because
that?
right now
what is that humor?
right now I said it's taboo, but back then it was, like you said, it wasn't taboo. So it is slightly different. But back then,
what's funny
and actually
about
I
it
didn't
is the
even really,
question.
I didn't even know there was any historical reference, right? When I did it, and I would venture to say that most people don't. But anyways, like they act like the historical reference is what makes it racist or something. I don't know if you think that, but back
is it
then,
a situation where Jesse talks about where you can hate something so much that you want to become it? Do white people hate black people so much that they're painting themselves black? Is that what
I don't
it is?
know. I don't know, because I don't
So what's
particularly
funny about
hate
it,
blacks.
Hake? What's the humor behind it?
It's just a funny depiction when somebody dresses up like something they're not. That is inherently pretty funny. And when they try to imitate something, you'll notice like the Asians, when they dressed up as Europeans, they have like these big noses and like protrusions from their face, because Asians have flat faces. And they're like, the way they speak is like this weird gobbledygook. And so it's funny to have like some impression. When Jesse imitates Asians, it's always really funny, or Hispanics. When Jesse first imitated Hispanics, it was obnoxious. But then it grows on you because he keeps on doing it, and he's so shameless about it, and it's not with any ill intent, and so it becomes funny. When there's ill intent, I don't know if I've seen an example of ill intent of whiteface or blackface or yellow face or brown face, but for the most part, it's just kind of funny, man.
So what went through your mind when you did it?
When I did it, I wanted to be.
Did you not contain your laughter when you did it?
No, I was able to.
Intent?
For the most part, I was able to play it cool. Like I had one friend who dressed up like a girl, so I pretended to like be grabbing him, and he's like, but he pretended to like play it off, but he didn't recognize me still. And so he wasn't pleased. And then, like, later on, he's like, oh, my gosh, that's James. And so that part, for me, is, like, the funny thing, where I'm, like, either unrecognizable or something kind of edgy or taboo. So, yeah, that's what that is.
And why do you think it offends black people from a white person's point of view? Why do you think, personally, it offends
I think that
because some people don't know about the.
I got to answer this real fast, man.
Like you did.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I got to answer this real fast. Because what happens inside human beings is they assign an intent behind it that isn't even put there, and so like black people often will accuse whites of being racist or think that whites are being racist for whatever. Either look or talking white, they talk like trying to talk over blacks' heads with these big words and stuff like that. And so, Satan gets busy in their minds, and so they become offended by it. And for the most part, I would say that it's either the educated ones that are brainwashed really against whites, or the ones that have been, trained just in general to hate white people and to assume that whites are racist. And that's unfortunately really widespread.
It's not Satan in the minds of white people that's actually making them paint themselves black.
Maybe sometimes, because I will say that it's not always well advised to do it, especially nowadays. Like if somebody does it nowadays, you just have to be willing to face the backlash. If you're willing to do that, then and it's for some great good, then yeah, go for it. But otherwise, sometimes Satan can take over people's minds. That's an interesting question, man. Appreciate it, Christopher.
All right, so I'm not going to take up your time, man, but this is my first time calling in. I'll do it again.
All right, thank you,
like
Christopher.
Yeah,
take care, man. Bye. James out of Nebraska and the rest of the callers, I'm sorry I can't get to you. Call me tomorrow. But Women's Forum tonight, rebuildingtheman.com/events, because we're also rebuilding the Woo Man. All right, guys. Take care. Support Bond. I do. You should too. I know a lot of you guys do. Thank you. Shout out to DLive, Mixer.com/JLP Talk, YouTube, and Periscope. Thank you guys all. All right, take care.